Well, good morning and welcome to this morning's webinar from EcoProd, an introduction to Conti Plus's CNX water management system. So, a few kind of housekeeping, frequently asked questions just before we get started. We are recording this session today so that we can send you a link so that you can watch and share the recording of the session afterwards. In the link that we send you, there'll also be an option for downloading the slides so you can get a copy of all the materials that we're covering this morning. If you think this is a session that would be useful for a broader audience inside your organisation, then we'd be very happy to rerun this as a private session. For colleagues, please just get in touch with us when the session ends. We can definitely arrange that. And you will notice that all the lines are muted this morning just to prevent background noise while we're presenting. So we can't hear you, but you can still ask questions or make comments as we go through using the GoToWebinar control panel that you'll have. You'll see there's a Q&A function and a chat function. If there's any observations you'd like to make or questions you would like to ask, then please feel free as we go through the session. So a few introductions just before we get into the meat of today. So my name is Rachel Clinton. I work on the business development team here at EcoProd. I'm mostly in the background today, so making sure that people are logging in properly and fielding your questions and so on. Our main presenter is Paul Musgrove from Conti, who's also on the line, and I'll be handing over to him in just a second. So EcoProd, in that case, shall I hand over to you, Paul, at this stage, if you want to start covering the agenda?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. I'm Paul Musgrove. I'm the UK Business Development Manager on behalf of Conti Plus. Today, we're going to run through the agenda for the introductions. Obviously, we've been through that. Rachel will tell you a little bit about EcoProd in a few seconds, and then I'm going to focus the efforts this morning on the CNX water management system, covering some simple base points such as what is the CNX system, how does the system work, who will benefit from the product itself, and talk about some case studies, and obviously we'll take on board any questions. So back to Rachel about EcoProd.
Yeah, so EcoProd, we are a family-run company based in the UK. Our background was historically in waterless urinals, so we're selling the Euromat waterless urinal system, but over the last few years we've really changed the focus to branch out to a much wider range of water-saving washroom products, hence our relationship with Conti Plus and with Paul on the taps and the showers, and now increasingly the water management system. So we have a wide range of products that all focused on water reduction and water saving in bathrooms and washrooms. Quite a large customer base, a huge variety of different sorts of customers as well. Here on this slide here you can see some fairly big names with multiple sites with high footfalls, but we also work with very small organisations like schools, primary schools, people who have a smaller footfall but still interested in water saving across the whole estate. So I think now we're getting to the presentation, Paul, so I will leave you to this part.
Okay, well guys, let's get into the system itself. What is the CNX system? The Conti CNX system is a building-wide water control systems. It's, for those of you who may know about building management systems, it's very similar, but dealing just with water. Just a quick point there, that it is compatible with other BMS systems, so that we can actually provide feed to other site-wide systems should it be needed. The purpose of the CNX system is to keep waterways moving. Reducing potential for pathogens in the water to build up leading to Legionnaires or Pseudomonas. So as I said, it's a building-wide management system controlled by a tablet, but can also be supported on a generic PC. For localized work, it can even be used with the phone base. It enables complete management of up to 150 of our tapped showers or our sensor urinals. So it is a lockdown system to the Conti Plus brand, but it does give complete control across the whole estate, logging information, recording it. It gives complete flexibility to individuals so they can either link products together within a room, so they have group functions, or complete individual. You could report 150 pieces completely individually or singularly. Each one also has flushing regimes and thermal flushing regimes, which you can micro detail right down to points of a second or as long as a period as you would need to do. The important thing about this system is it's replacing what is currently very much a manual system in many buildings, and it provides a complete safety report on your water system, which obviously then can be downloaded. It mentions on here that we are downloading in PDF, but quite honestly, the clients are asking us for more and more, and so now there's availability in the Excel or CSV format, so it really does depend what you're looking for, how you want it, and what we can do for you. How does the system work? Well, if you can imagine looking at the image on the screen at the moment, we have a localized control system. This is supported by a 2-wire system, which then goes to each and every product within the installation. So whether it be showers, taps, or urinals. The 2-wire system allows 1 wire for power and 1 wire for comms. And in the event of a power outage, the system actually has localized backup in each product and localized backup within the control unit. So if power is lost but then comes back on, the products and the memories will all update, so you won't lose any of the activities within the system. It must be said there also an additional key point to this system is that the products are actually provided with a battery inside there, so that even in the outage of the mains power, products will carry on working as normal with all the recordings being dealt with. Who will benefit from using CNX? Well, we can look at a list of different areas, but predominantly commercial buildings from swimming pools, schools, sports arenas, army barracks, hotels. It's quite a long list going through there. The idea being that these businesses, these public businesses, these buildings, predominantly what they all have in common is one thing. They all have a requirement under legislation to actually record data about their water system. Some buildings within the healthcare areas, they use a scheme called L8, and it's about managing flow of water, regularly turning products on. And so anyone that's working in these buildings will be aware of these issues to make sure that their estates management team are actually creating a free waterway to make sure that they're actually keeping systems clean and free from pathogens. What are the benefits? As I said earlier on, one controller will link up to 150 taps, showers, or urinal flush controls. This obviously depends on the client, the size of the building, and one of the things that we advise is that a consultative approach must be taken to this system to ensure it actually meets the requirements. And you must consider your heating system to make sure that the water can actually attain the temperatures that's needed, and that the products are all in line, and the wiring of that, we'll come on to in a few minutes, all that must be considered in the parameters and the setups. But it offers a very generous network of cabling, up to 350 meters from the actual power control unit. And again, it's based on electrical installation, which is a very low cost with multiple wiring opportunities. So you don't have to wire a loop, you can wire out in a star or trie layout, some people call it. So you can maximize the shortest length of cabling possible to achieve a full system. The technology that this system is based on is a very stable CNX technology, which has been built upon with the platform at the front end of the unit. CNX systems have been around for about 10 or 15 years. It's a proven and stable technology, and it really provides a very stable system without faults occurring on a regular basis. Like all IT systems, you will get problems now and again. Sometimes, in my case, it's quite often user error, but eventually we get everything to the client needs. And it's important, again, I can't stress enough that when you're looking at a system like this, you must build into it the consultative period to ensure you get the results that you're really striving for. Currently, in our home country, which is the German market, where this was first developed, we've got over 80 sites currently with the CNX system working already. Going on to more benefits, as I said, we include a smart tablet which is set up with the system and provided at installation time. Installation is normally carried out by a local company, and we would offer a training package to go with that. And again, the commissioning of this system is done by our company. So there is a need to partner on this process to make sure that everything is done correctly. All the data can be transferred by LAN or wireless LAN, and again, depending on the IT infrastructure within a building, we need to coordinate with that IT team to make sure that they are happy for us to be sitting on their network, or as I'm doing at the moment with another project, they're actually putting in a dedicated LAN system for our system, separate to their own IT, because the IT were concerned about third-party products being on their secure system, which is totally understandable. The system has a life cycle data storage. What that means is that we will never lose events. If you want to delete events from your system in the long term, you can do so. But with the storage capability is so large that this could go on for years and years, and you could look back historically. That may be useful in the long term if you're a hospital, for example, and you have an insurance claim and it might be dated 2, 3, 4 years before. The fact that you can actually track back to your data reports, look for the information pertaining to a particular room, a particular date, a particular water system, temperatures, etc. It provides all that function for you. And most importantly, it supports and ensures the correct operation within drinking water installations. So it's a very robust system, very secure system, and very intelligent system. Remote updates from Conti Plus available. We are talking to customers constantly to ask them about what it is that's missing from the system. And so we are led by our customers to future advances and changes in the system. If your system is then connected to the internet with your permission and with approval prior to the event, well, we can send an upgrade on the system to upload the latest technology with additional features at some point on a regular basis, probably once or twice a year, once a new piece of feature is available. And of course, we will talk that feature through with you to make sure you understand it and make sure you need it. If you don't want to have that update directly from Conti Plus over the wireless LAN, we can also put that onto a USB, post that to you for you to actually put in and control that locally on site. The benefit of automated reports avoids human error. It's a sad fact that I think we would all be guilty of. When you go into a building, I'll give you a good example within a hospital, the estates team have to go around to every tap, every shower within a hospital over a given period. 4 times a year within each area, they must automatically turn on the taps. Sorry, they must manually turn on the taps, run them for a predetermined time. Every trust will have its own decision making on that. Some maybe for 2 minutes, some maybe 3 minutes. And that has to be manually entered into an audit sheet. Now, we're all guilty of waking up in the morning and maybe not feeling 100%, or we're guilty of doing something in an area and someone interrupts us with a conversation in a busy working hospital. You can imagine that how many times that flushing regime falls over and it isn't quite as correct as it should be. With this CNX system, if you tell that tap, that shower, that urinal flush to flush at a given time for a given length of time, that will happen as an automated process, which is why the concentration on the parameters is really, really key to avoid any problems and to make sure that you're not disturbing patients or you're not disturbing staff. So it needs to be thought through carefully. Remote access is also available with the system. So that, for instance, if you are an FM company based in Manchester and you're looking after sites across the UK, maybe up in the north end of Scotland or the remote part of the southern part of Cornwall, and currently you're sending a guy in a van to go visit the site once a quarter, once a month, depending on the location, depending on what they've got to do, to open the door, to go in and turn taps, showers on, and actually then put that into a manual book and then drive back to the office where you've come from. That has a very, very high cost to it, and for such a simple process which could be done. With our remote access, the regimes could be set up, the system could be in the building running locally in Cornwall or in north of Scotland, and the guy in Manchester can just upload the reports to his PC as and when he wants to. If he wants to change parameters locally without visiting the site, he can do that as well. So it offers a massive potential saving to anybody who's looking after remote sites on the system. As we've alluded to already, the benefits reporting in PDF, Excel or CSV format, which hopefully would allow for everybody to get the formats they need. The system information is saved to an SD card which is built into the controller, and it's protected against short circuit and reverse polarity so that nothing can actually happen. You will always have that information. No loss of data in the event of a power cut, which I mentioned, both locally in the individual unit and also at the main central power control. And obviously it's very easy to integrate and install. We've done a recent project down in Bristol, which was a current academy school, and we thought it might be a real challenge to install in a retrofit. But actually, once we actually started to look at the building, we found it a very, very simple system to work through. As I said, Bristol Metropolitan Academy, we're working with Scouts Go down there. This is a site where we have installed upwards of 40 plus showers and over 200 taps over the last 18 months. We work with the client directly, where we listened to what they wanted to achieve, which was very interesting. From a client perspective, when we sat down the very first time, there was about 8 to 10 people in the room from Scoutsco, all with different agendas, all with different understandings of what they wanted to achieve on their water system. So it's quite interesting for us to sort of like ask questions, and quite possibly the answers they came back with were a little bit different from each perspective, whether you were the working as the engineer on site or whether you were the senior FM manager, your perspectives were different. And that opened our eyes a little bit to realise that we must consult with clients to actually challenge them in a way to actually ask what they're trying to achieve. The simple answer is we're trying to achieve clean waterways, and we're trying to be objective to make sure that that's the most effective way. But then you come on to showering and you have to consider thermal flushing. If you're going to flush hot water temperatures of up to 80 degrees through that system to kill pathogens and to make sure the system dries, you need a security protocol in place to make sure that that takes place when the building is absolutely 100% empty. And you may decide also when you're doing thermal flushing that you need to have somebody local within that area to ensure that nobody untoward has gone into that area to protect that person. It's probably more particular in a hospital. But the focus of that parameters and actually how you use the system is absolutely key to being successful. We spent probably 6 months working with the client at Skanska to actually understand that need, understand what problems they've got. Now the system has been up and running since January of this year, and we've already helped the client identify some problems. When the system is commissioned and set up and running, we noticed that some of the events that have been planned, such as thermal flushing, such as taps at the far end of the building being flushed with a regular hygiene flush, the temperature recordings within the heating system for the hot water were not making the temperature levels that the client was hoping to achieve from their side. So it pointed to the client that their own hot water infrastructure in the building was insufficient for the building size. And during those conversations, it turns out that when this project was built 5 years ago, there was a cost-saving exercise where half of the heating system was removed, where they were going to have heating from both ends of the building, being a very long structure. And that cost-saving exercise has now caused the FM team to have a problem with hot water temperatures, which is now being realised, and a consequence of it is that we are able to help them to understand that very simply. So this has been a fantastic case study for us in the UK. This was our first pilot project, and overall, I think between the very first engagement to now, it's been 2.5 years in the making. And pleased to say that the client's now in a happy position, and we're moving forward with that client to other opportunities and other schools as well. We've also been marketing this product as a complete system to support our other products as a holistic sale. And we've now got 2 further projects which are being undertaken, one in London and one in Manchester. So we'll be able to add further case studies to the CNX over the next few months to update people, to tell you a little bit more about what we're doing. That's a very brief, very quick overview of the Conti CNX system. I hope I haven't gone through that too quickly, but I'm happy to take questions from anybody now and pass this back to Rachel to maybe lead that through, if that's okay, Rachel.
Yeah, I haven't seen any questions come through on the portal. If anyone does have any questions, now would be a good time to pop them in there. We can just give it a minute or two just to see if any come through. No, I don't think so. In which case, that was perfect. We said it would be about 20-25 minutes, Paul, and that's exactly what it was. So I'm going to say thank you very much, Paul, for your presentation today. Thank you to all the attendees. As I mentioned, you will get an email in a day or two with a link to the recording and an opportunity to download the slides. So thank you very much for your time, and we hope to speak to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.